viewers. Let's have a look at what is in the newspaper headlines today, 6th March 2024. Daily Nation. State travel ban that was never was. The Standard. Raila faces tough queries from Azimio. The Star. Rido of 5,000 fictitious cops in medical scandal. People Daily. How NHIF was looted. Daily Nation. State travel ban that never was. That's a story on the audit, a circular by head of public service, also limited allegation sizes for government officials. That story goes on to say that what austerity, the government's travel budget nearly doubled within 3 months of the October 2023 travel ban imposed to reduce wastage as globe-trotting public officials ignored austerity measures amid tough economic times. This saw the state spend shillings 7.05 billion on local and foreign trips after the directive, a huge jump from shillings 4.33 billion. See that on page 7. There is drama as athletes forced to compete. Threats were used to have athletes, especially those from disciplined forces, compete after they boycotted the African Games trials at Nyayo National Stadium in protest at the number of slots allocated for the Continental Games. That is on page 36. MPs increase own budget by shillings 2 billion. The Parliament has increased its budget by shillings 2 billion after MPs reorganized the budget policy statements to raise its spending limits in the financial year starting July. That is on the back page. There is also a story on court told of how women plotted to kill her husband. On the night of June 3, 2021, Dutch businessman Herman Looswanhorst went to bed as usual at his local apartment home in Shanzu, Mombasa County, full of hope for a better tomorrow. Unbeknown to him, the plan to eliminate him had already been finalized with his wife as prime suspect. That is on page 3. On the Daily Nation at the bottom, there is a story on more pain as new IDs passport fees take effect. It goes on to say that the government has implemented revised fees for some of its services, including passports, IDs, births, death certificates, and work permits applications. This will see the fees charged on some services increase by up to 10 times or more. The new fees are being implemented following the conclusion of the public engagement exercise conducted between November 14 and December 5 last year. The government said in a memo dated February 29. You can see that on page 6. And then on the same story is talking about passport, ordinary passport with 34 pages. Initially was being sold at The price was 4,500, is going to 7,500. Ordinary page is 50, from 6,000 to 9,500. Ordinary page is 66, we will jump from 7,500 to 12,500. IDs. ID is not previously registered under NPR, will be 300 shillings. Duplicate or replacement from 100 shillings to 1,000. Identification reports from 300 to 1,000. Birth and death certificates. Current birth certificate is 50 shillings to 200. Certificate of current death from 50 to 200. Amendments of birth and death certificates will jump from 130 to 1,000. There is a story on pay rise for 500 promoted teachers. Teacher Service Commission has published a list of 36,505 teachers who have been promoted to various job grades following interviews conducted in December and January. The list, which is available on the Commission's website, completes the process that will see the successful candidates receive increased salaries. That is on page 10. The Standard. Raila faces tough queries from Azimio. In a sport, Azimio principals carpet Raila Odinga in a 10 summit meeting where the coalition leaders was hard pressed to explain why he snapped the party bosses on his African Union Commission jobs bid, and how he reached a sought-out handshake with Ruto to a point of earning government support. That is on page 6. Page 6. There is a story on dead economy when Sweet Cane ruled Western. It is on page 16 and 17. There is more protest over nepotism and tribalism. That will be a day after court dealt a blow to KRA over skilled job application appointments. The head of civil service and contractors in the North Rift separately added their voice to disturbing trend of unfairness in the region. That is on page 5. There is a special report on shame of Atsasu's gun drama impunities. The Standard Group. Okay. I'm not going to read that. There is multiple sources who attended the meeting. This is a continuation of Raila's meeting or Azimio meeting. Multiple sources who attended the meeting in Dependentry explained how Raila Odinga used the opportunity to quell murmurs that have rocked the coalition over his move to contest AUC chairman post without informing his co-principals. Regulations for ANBs. Every person has a right to privacy. Nobody wants to walk into a private space that is not private. And privacy entails the right to keep one's personal effects secret. At the bottom of the Standard, EAC presidents, East African presidents to support one candidate for African Union job. He goes on to say that President Ruto challenges East African Legislative Assembly to help change the narrative of Africa from poor continent ridden with conflict and disease to that of immense opportunity, as he reveals that the region will back one candidate for AU Commission's chair. That is on page 7. Star. Riddle of 5,000 fictitious corpses in medical scandal. Separate report concludes issuance cover was a raw deal for police officers. There is a trainee pilot and instructor killed amid air crash. That's the picture on the front page. At the top of the paper is an emotional moment as a former soldier petitions Senate in a hospital bed. He has been on 37 years of pain. That is on page 9. On the right side, there is ODM leader Raila Odinga during a press briefing in Karen. Rain, he says, rain on saboteurs of NADCO report. Raila tells Ruto. Azimio Moja want President Ruto to rain on his troops in parliament, whom they accused of working coventry to deal with the implementation of the NADCO report. The opposition yesterday fired a warning at the Kenya Kwanza stewards standing on the path of the negotiation document. Ready to plant? Expect rainfall in March, says the weatherman. The ongoing rains in many parts of the country, including Nairobi, will continue throughout the month. The weatherman predicts the latest forecast. That means that March will be unusually wet, although there will be some dry spells. There is a voices on the Okech candle. Kenya grows when every county grows. That is on page 16. The story of the weatherman is on page 2. There is tamed. Maraga team says the scheme should be terminated. Report daily. How NHIF was looted. Ethics. A probe by anti-graft team reveals how officials colluded with officials to steal millions from health insurers that has become a national poster boy for avarice and ineptitude. That is on page 4. At the top there is ex-soldier 6 dues for 36 years. Ruto to Raila. Raila will be EAC, East Africa Community candidate. Kenya ARC rivals back opposition chief for AU top job. That is on page 8. There is a story on TSC promotes 36,505 teachers. And that story you will find it on page page 2. It goes on to say the Teacher Service Commission has promoted 36,505 tutors to high grades in lines with the career progression guidelines. The teachers have been promoted following interviews that were completed in January, a majority of whom had stagnated in the same job groups for years. TSC Secretary General Nancy Macharia said that the commission has been allocated shillings 1 billion in the 2024-2025 financial year to promote teachers Some 14,750 teachers were also elevated in the 2022-2023 financial year. We have been allocated shillings 1 billion for the promotion of the year 2024-2025. So the issue of stagnation in teacher service will hopefully be over soon, because we are getting funding from the government to promote our teachers, said Macharia. That is on page 2. That's what we have on the paper headlines today. Do have a good day. Bye for now.